Since 1947, a doomsday clock has been used to predict the end of the world. It started at 7 minutes to midnight, with midnight representing global catastrophe. But in January 2018, the clock was moved to 2 minutes from midnight. It's impossible to watch the news these days without seeing a mention of increased tension between countries. Many are wondering what to do or where to go in the event that World War III was to actually begin. So let's take a look at the top 10 safest countries if World War III happens. Number 10. USA. With the current political climate, it seems very plausible that the USA could instigate World War III, or at the very least be very heavily involved. So why should we think it is safe to stay there? Well, the United States built many of their government buildings during the Cold War with underground bunkers ready to go, but more importantly, the US is one of the most heavily defended countries in the world. Any country looking to attack the US by land is going to have a difficult time due to the highly trained armed forces and a plethora of armed citizens. The United States anti-missile system is also highly advanced and located all around the world, so incoming bombs or missiles would not be able to reach their targets. The US government and military is also extremely secretive, so who knows what secret weapons we don't even know about in their arsenal. Number 9. Switzerland. Switzerland. The name is synonymous with peace and not picking sides in war. Since 1815, when they were attacked by Napoleon, they literally have not been involved in a single war. If World War III was to break out, the odds are high that Switzerland will not be involved. Why? Well, Switzerland actually has a permanent and self-imposed policy of neutrality. Instead, they are involved in peace-building processes worldwide, which they would also attempt to do if World War III began. While Switzerland does border Germany, France, Austria, and Italy, it has a natural feature that physically separates it from the outside world: mountains. They form a natural border for part of the country and contain the National Redoubt, a series of armed fortifications hidden throughout the mountains that were designed specifically for defensive purposes. Number 8. Australia. Australia has several natural advantages when it comes to remaining safe during World War III, especially when considering it from a military perspective. First, it's surrounded by water and is not near any foreign ports capable of carrying out an attack. Trying to establish an amphibious attack on Australia would be a nightmare to execute. Next, the largest urban areas of Australia are very spread throughout the country, so if an aggressor was trying to bomb Australia, they would have to use several nuclear weapons to completely take care of it, and that amount would honestly make the entire planet uninhabitable. Attacking Australia would also amount to a logistics nightmare with nobody actually winning. Hopefully, the aggressor of World War III is not just trying to destroy the entire planet. Otherwise, Australia could be a great spot to hide out. Number 7. Fiji. Fiji is a popular tourist destination due to its secluded location, perfect to escape the stresses of the modern world, and that also makes it a great hideaway if World War III were to break out. Fiji is made up of 332 islands, which makes the idea of a ground attack completely implausible. Due to its isolated location, it would be immensely difficult to get amphibious troops to the islands. You can put Fiji in the not worth it column when it comes to important locations for a war. If you like coconuts and think you can catch some fish while the rest of the world slaughters each other, Fiji might be the perfect locale to kick up your feet and not worry about the world collapsing around you. Number 6. Kiribati or the Marshall Islands. Concerned Fiji is still a little too known and could come under attack? Grab a boat, preferably with a motor, and head about 2,000 miles north to find the intensely isolated Kiribati and Marshall Islands. How isolated are these islands? Well, they're surrounded by 750,000 square miles of oceans. The United States thought it was so isolated that in the 50s they used the area to test nuclear weapons, making it a somewhat ironic place to hide from World War III. But don't worry, enough time has passed that the risk of increased radiation from the testing is actually below 1% now. Number 5. New Zealand. New Zealand has a lot of the advantages similar to Australia when it comes to safety during World War III, with a few extra features that place it higher on this list. New Zealand is ranked number 4 on the Global Peace Index, meaning it's unlikely to be involved in a spat that could turn into World War III. Also, the island nation's hydroelectric power takes care of more than half of the country's energy demands, meaning they could easily continue to power necessary buildings even if cut off by other countries for other energy sources like coal and oil. Much of the land is fertile as well, so the residents of New Zealand could easily continue living a comfortable life without contact from the outside world. Not many countries are as self-sufficient, so most countries would suffer greatly if cut off from vital resources. Number 4. Chile. Located on the southern tip of South America sits Chile, and close to its southernmost point sits Punta Arenas. This beautiful city could be the perfect destination since it's the city that is the furthest away from every nuclear state. While locations like Fiji or Kiribati are an ideal place to hide from war, getting there could certainly be an issue. Chile is conveniently located in a major continent and connects to the continental mainland of the United States and Canada. It is also a great deal more accessible by airplane, so it becomes a more reasonable location to actually get to. If a land-based attack can make it over the mountains that line Chile, a last-ditch hideaway can be found about 2,000 miles east of Chile on the historic Easter Island. It may be a hard trip, but it would be worth it since Easter Island was picked by scientists as one of the safest places to retreat to due to its extremely isolated location far away from armed nuclear powers. This could keep you safe from nuclear fallout that would accompany World War III. Chile also offers an opportunity to grab a boat and head further south to another location that we will get to in a bit. Number 3. Greenland. Greenland is technically a Danish-dependent territory. This is important to note because it shows that their political stances are very much in line with Denmark, which ranks second on the Global Peace Index. So why are we rushing to Greenland instead of Denmark? Well, Denmark has one very inconvenient geographical issue. It is connected to mainland Europe. If World War III were to break out, it is a guarantee that at least parts of Europe would be wiped out. Greenland, however, is not connected to Europe and is in fact a good distance away from it. Greenland is technically closer to North America, making it an ideal escape for Europeans, Canadians, and Americans. Similarly to New Zealand, Greenland produces the majority of their energy. About 70% of the energy consumed in Greenland comes from renewable energy sources like hydropower, so being cut off from the world in the event of a war is not a huge concern. Greenland also extends quite far north, making it a good evacuation point if nuclear fallout starts to spread due to nuclear detonations in Europe or North America. Number 2. Iceland. At number 1 on the Global Peace Index, Iceland is certainly one of the safest places on this planet. It combines the best attributes from many of the aforementioned countries and brings them together into one perfect locale. While New Zealand and Greenland produce much of their own power, Iceland outshines them all with an astounding 85% of their energy produced by renewable energy sources. They similarly use hydropower from their many rivers and waterfalls, but have the added benefit of widespread geothermal sources. While it may not have the complete isolation of places like Fiji or Kiribati, it is separated from mainland Europe, which is definitely an advantage, but it is not too far away to the point that it becomes almost implausible to actually get there. Iceland is also the most sparsely populated country in Europe, meaning it is able to take on a few thousand new residents hiding out from war. While the old story of Vikings swapping the expected names for the icy and green islands they found, the truth is that Iceland is rather green and fertile. It would be easy to grow produce, have space to live, and still have electricity even while the rest of the world was involved in war. Number 1. Antarctica. If Iceland is number 1 on the Global Peace Index, and it sounds like a veritable paradise, why isn't it number 1? Well, our number 1 pick isn't technically a country yet, but if World War III were to erupt, we bet there will be so many people joining us in Antarctica that it will become a country. That's right, our number 1 safest pick of all the places on the planet to hide out during World War III is Antarctica. Sometimes you have to look at the situation from a slightly different perspective, and while many of the countries listed would be good bets, scientists have shown that Antarctica is actually the best bet. After analyzing the locations of current nuclear stockpiles from 10 nuclear states, likelihood of conflicts between them, adding in some risk trajectories, and then throwing in some numerical weather predictions, well, the results were not so good. The crude estimate shows that most of the world is in a lot of trouble. Antarctica, on the other hand, is miles from anywhere and is also the location of the world's first nuclear arms agreement. The Antarctic Treaty, signed in 1959, bans the detonation of all nuclear weapons in Antarctica. So how do we get there? Well, remember that city in Chile, Punta Arenas? It is located right on the ocean and is where many current Antarctic expeditions depart from. So here's the plan. We can meet up in Punta Arenas, grab some delicious Malbec, get some ultra-warm clothing, and head to Antarctica. While it may seem like a hard locale to live in, it's been done before. The Arctic Circle was home to an extensive bunker called the City Under the Ice that was built during the Cold War, so the same could easily be done in Antarctica. Will you be joining us there? Or hiding out somewhere warmer like Fiji? Or do you have a spot that we didn't even think of? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.